Okay, so this is Genesis chapter 5 of the Message. This is the family tree of the human race. When God created the human race, He made it godlike, with a nature akin to God. He created male and female and blessed them, and the whole human race. When Adam was 130 years old, he had a son who was just like him, his very spirit and image, and he named him Seth. After the birth of Seth, Adam lived another 800 years, having more sons and daughters. Adam lived a total of 930 years, and he died. When Seth was 105 years, he had Enoch, and after Seth had Enoch, he lived another 807 years, having more sons and daughters. Seth lived a total of 912 years, and he died. When Enoch was 90 years old, he had Kenan, and after he had Kenan, he lived another 815 years, having more sons and daughters. Enoch lived a total of 905 years, and he died. When Kenan was 70 years old, he had Mahalalel. After he had Mahalalel, he lived another 840 years, after more sons and daughters. Having more sons and daughters, Kenan lived a total of 910 years, and he died. When Mahalalel was 65 years old, he had Jared, and after he had Jared, he lived another 830 years, having more sons and daughters. Mahalalel lived a total of 895 years, and he died. When Jared was 162 years old, he had Enoch, and after he had Enoch, he lived another 800 years, having more sons and daughters. Jared lived a total of 962 years, and he died. When Enoch was 65 years old, he had Methuselah. Enoch walked steadily with God. After he had Methuselah, he lived another 300 years, having more sons and daughters. Enoch lived a total of 365 years. Enoch walked steadily with God, and then one day he was simply gone. God took him. When Methuselah was 187 years old, he had Lamech. After he had Lamech, he lived another 782 years. Methuselah lived a total of 969 years, and he died. When Lamech was 182 years, he had a son. He named him Noah, saying, "This will give us a break from the hard work of farming the ground that God cursed." After Lamech had Noah, he lived another 595 years, having more sons and daughters. Lamech lived a total of 777 years, and he died. When Noah was 500 years old, he had Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So there's a few things I noticed in this one already. Noah's sons, are they triplets? It says in the very last verse, in verse 32 of chapter 5, when Noah was 500 years old, he had Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So when he was 500 in that 1 year, with that one wife he had, which it is specified he has one wife, he has 3 sons in his 500th year. So they sound like triplets to me. I don't know, it may not be a big deal, but it's just something that I noticed. Also that Lamech, not Cain's Lamech who murdered, but Seth's Lamech, from Seth's lineage. He lived a total of 777 years. It seems really significant that he's got a 777 there. Obviously, he must be very blessed. He must definitely be of a lineage that walks with God. I've said this in the King James Version. He's the father of Noah, who's definitely blessed and a man of God for sure, in a world that eventually becomes very godless. That makes God regret even creating us. That's how bad it gets. And so there's something very blessed about Lamech, obviously about Noah. Going up further from the lineage, Lamech's grandfather, Enoch, being taken by God and not dying. He walked with God steadily. So he's obviously, he's got like a special place in God's heart. Like he was just very significantly set apart than almost any human being that ever lived. To just be taken like that and never not die. He was just raptured, basically. He lived a total of 365 years. That's how many days of the year there is. It just seems like there's a significance in these numbers with these individuals. So I thought I would just point that out. Also, on the contrary, it seems like, starting with Adam, in some ways it looks like, on average, their lives become a little less and less. Adam lived a total of 930 years. Seth lived a total of 912. Enoch lived 905. Kenan lived 910, so he had 5 more years than his dad, but not much. Mahalalel lived 895. Jared actually has some good significant life here. More than Adam. Jared seems to have lived the longest so far. Just kind of like he sticks out like a sore thumb in terms of the lineage and how it was declining slightly up until Jared, who lived 962 years as a comparison to Adam's 930. So he's gotten 32 more years than the first man, which is significant. Makes you wonder about Jared. He was blessed so far with the longest life mentioned in this Bible so far. Almost an entire millennium. He was about 48 years from being a millennium old. It's crazy. And Enoch, he's just 365 years isn't much in comparison to these other guys. But there's a significance there, and also he didn't die, he was just taken. So, had he not been taken, maybe he would have also lived into his 900 years or something. But that wasn't the case here. Methuselah. Methuselah lives 7 more years than Jared, 969. So it's really interesting. It kind of declined for a bit and then it went up. Methuselah is the longest living mentioned guy so far living. But they're living into their 900th years, which is even 100 years nowadays seems like so much. And then it just makes you wonder, what did they look like? Was the aging process also different? I mean, they couldn't have, were they? I mean, let's find out. Because I remember that there being Sarah and Abraham, and they're being somewhere around 100 years old, worried about conceiving a child. I'm getting ahead of myself here, and we're going to get there, but worried about it because they're being 90 or 100 or so years old, thinking that they're all dried up. So maybe we did age the same. And just the rest of those years, we were just old. I don't know. I'm not really sure. It's just some food for thought to think about. This was Adam's lineage through Seth. So, just, it's about it. I don't have too much else to say about it. Just a little observation here or there. If you caught something or there's anything that anyone ever wants to say, leave a comment. I mean, I'm always about learning something new about reading the Word, so I hope you got something out of this, and we will read the next chapter tomorrow. So I hope you have a blessed day, and I just pray many, many, many blessings over you, and thank you for watching, and have a good day. God bless.